My dad was a pastor, so I got to see the good, the bad, the crazy of the church growing up. And when I was 6 years old, I decided to accept Jesus into my heart, and he's been part of my life ever since. That's the simple part. And because I got to see the good, the bad, and the crazy of the church, I learned pretty quickly and developed a really good distrust of Christians. They're not my favorite people, and I'm still working through those issues. And I can kind of leave it at that. But if I'm completely honest, that's not the real reason why. Because throughout various times in my life, or my childhood, I was molested a couple of times by people either in the church or people who claim to be Christians. And so I've had lots of opportunities to leave the church, yet there's always something keeping me there. And then God has a sense of humor and had me become a missionary. Go figure. And so he took a girl who grew up in Southern California and moved her to Moscow, Russia for 7 years. And I absolutely loved it. I loved being there. I'd go back in a heartbeat if I could. But during that time, I learned to totally trust God because I had no choice. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have safety nets. It was me and God and the people I worked with. And one of those times happened in 2008. Our church, my sending church back home, was going to China, and they asked me to come along. Well, it happened to be like the week before school starts, and as any teacher knows, that's in-service week when you get your classroom ready and you have to get all this stuff together, and they don't look kindly on you when you try to ditch out. So they asked me to come back a week early to kind of get things ready, a couple days early to get prepared, so that when I came back, school was starting right up, I'd be ready to go. So I did. So I came back, and just moved into a new apartment, unpacking my stuff, and my roommate comes up to me and goes, "Hey, rent's due right now. I need rent." Okay. So I go to the bank to get my rent money, and I'm overdrawn a lot. I have just enough money in my savings account to pay my overdraw fees. I have no money for rent, so if I don't pay rent, I don't have a place to live, and I'm supposed to leave the next day to go to China. This is gonna be fun. So after a lot of tears, panic, crying, yelling at God, my school offered to pay for me to go. So they paid my off, said, "Hey, we'll pay your rent. You can just take it out of your paycheck for the next couple of months and pay us back. We'll loan you the money." Cool. So now I have a place to live. But that leaves me broke, and I'm now going on a mission trip with no money. Not the best choice. I had $10 in my pocket to my name. Thankfully, my parents are on the other side of the plane, so I know they're not going to let their kids starve. So yes, I know someone's going to get me some food when I get off the plane. Yay! I get on this plane, and I get to China, and it's right around, and I'm going for the Beijing Olympics, so there have been thousands of people coming in, dropping hundreds, thousands of dollars. I go in, I give my exchange guy my poor little $10 bills, and he's looking at me like, "Where's the rest of this? Come on, I know there's more." And I'm like, "Nope, sorry, this is it." And he's like, "All right." All of this is, not verbal. And so he gives me my money, and it is the exact amount I need to get to the hotel. So now I'm completely broke, but I'm like, "Okay, God, this will be fun. Mom and Dad are here, at least I won't starve." So I had a great time, hang out, got to do all kinds of things, got to go to parks, got to hang out with our translators. So we had several different teams doing various things, like I had art team, and then we had a music team and a basketball team. They were all just kind of, the whole point was to hang out with the nationals because the borders was a little more open at that time. people will go off to Olympics events and stuff and come back. And I came back to our hotel after one of our days, and my dad comes up to me and goes, hey, you're going to the Olympics tomorrow. I'm like, excuse me? Huh? What? He's like, yeah, one of the ladies on the trip heard about all the things you went through to get here and decided to bless you with a ticket to the Olympics. I'm like, okay. Now at this point, I will go see shot put. I didn't care. I got to go to the women's all-around gymnastics finals. Gymnastics is my absolute favorite sport. That was I wanted to be a gymnast as a kid. This is my favorite sport. And not only that, we ended up in the family section, and Mary Lou Retton was sitting 2 rows in front of us, hanging out with the mom of the winner of that year. That's this God. I did not deserve this. I had unwisely spent my own money, and I was just lucky to be there, and God said, no, we're gonna do this. Okay. But one of the coolest things about that trip was a couple of weeks after we left, we had about 5 or 6 different translators, and all of them were believers except 2. One of them got saved on our trip to the Great Wall of China, and the other one, who hung out with me most of the time, was in our group, became a believer about a month after we left. And so, sorry, I just think about if I hadn't been there, not that I had anything to do with her conversion, I didn't, I was just there, but we had a lot of really good talks. And we had spent a lot of time together and just kind of hung out with each other, and God let me be part of her story. And that was the coolest part of that trip to me. So yeah, I don't always trust Christians, and I don't always believe that they're gonna say what they say, but I've discovered people are gonna fail you, but God doesn't. And no matter what, He doesn't fail. It doesn't always make sense though. So now let's fast forward till today, or this past year. I'm an introvert. I am not a huge people person. Like, this is just not my thing to do. I'm the behind the scenes gal. You know, I have friends who are the people who are up in the front, and I'm like, here, let me help you. I will provide everything you need just to be there. Keep me out of the limelight. And so God decided that not only do I get to be a pastor's kid, a missionary, now I get to be a pastor's wife. Yay. That was not on my bingo card for what I want to do with my life. So God decided, He put it upon my husband and my heart to start a house church, to plant a house church in Newcastle where we live. And so for the past couple of months, we've been promoting it. We've been out at farmers markets. We've been talking to people and kind of, I say selling our soul, but basically just kind of letting everybody know, hey, we're here. And the day we go public with this, and we finally get a launch date, we tell everybody our launch date, a friend of ours contacts my husband and says, hey, I've got 50 chairs for your house church. So now our garage has 50 chairs in it waiting for people. And then a little bit later, my husband brings home like all these craft projects, like all these craft supplies, straws, paper plates, yarn, you name it, we've got it in our garage. So I've been distributing to people I know, but now I've got craft supplies for whatever kids may show up in my church. And then crazy me was thinking, oh yeah, I need to have something for these kids to do, because they can't just do crafts all the time if they come. Last week, another friend of ours called me up and says, hey, I'm closing down my preschool. I've got all these books, puzzles, games, you name it, curriculum. You want it? Sure. So now I've got about 100 picture books, I've got puzzles, I've got games, I've got it all. And God just showed up. And so we had our first launch date, was last Saturday, and we had our first official A Place for All food and fellowship. We have, 100, 200 hot dogs ready to go for whoever shows up. We had one. One person came. Now, in the eyes of most people, that's probably the worst possible outcome. Well, actually, the worst possible outcome is nobody comes, which is kind of what I was expecting. But one person came. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we got to chit-chat with this person, talk to him, a really great conversation, able to pray with him. And as he's leaving, he's like, hey, I got some Bibles. He had 700 Bibles in his car. And we now have 700 Bibles to give away at our different events, in English and in Spanish. So when you asked, what has God done for you this week? It's like, well, let me count the ways. Because I'm a skeptic. I am a huge skeptic. I don't trust the church. I don't trust Christians. Like I said, me and God, we're cool, but people, not so much. I'm an introvert who doesn't trust people, or Christians in general. I told this to one of my friends, and she's like, well, that's the perfect person who needs to start a church. I'm like, why? Because you're honest. I'm like, you're that. But God showed up, and He's just reminding me, hey, I got this. Yeah? You don't think you're the perfect person, but you're the one I called. You're the one I want to do this. Yeah, you weren't the perfect person who should have gone to China, but you're the one who went. Yeah, you probably made a lot of mistakes in Moscow, but you listened. Yeah, bad things happened to you, but you've been able to share that, and it's always had an impact when you do, because those are the people who need to hear it. And even though things happen, and people are going to fail you, Christian or not, God's always there. And it doesn't always make sense. He doesn't. I love Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. There's other verses that say make it straight, and that annoys me all the time, because I have never been on a straight path with God ever. But He is. He's going to direct that path. You just have to be patient and just trust Him. Because He'll provide it. It may not make sense, and it may be just the one person that shows up. That's the one that was supposed to be there. So, thank you for letting me share.